For those of you who don't know, Walt Whitman was kind of a rebel. No, not like a Ferris Bueller kind of a rebel, but definitely someone who went against the status quo. Yes, the long, bearded, yelping, wordy Walt Whitman was a generational rebel. How? Well, when you think about what a rebel actually is, you think of someone who is willing to go against societal beliefs, maybe someone who sometimes causes some problems, but mostly and most notably, someone who goes out of their way to create change. Whitman was one such individual who was willing to go against popular opinion and look to promote and even openly discuss specifically female sexuality in his writing. At the time of his writing, women traditionally were not thought to have sexual desires and thoughts, and were never allowed to express these feelings if they existed. Whitman's writing and explicitly writing about women who were openly proud of their sexual feelings and desires helped offer women a platform to become more sexually expressive. Though women's rights was a movement, and still is to this day, Whitman was one such individual who proved a rebel in his willingness to help spur the movement forward. Due to Whitman's ability to accept criticism, he was able to continue his writing about encouraging females to express and explore their sexuality and incite more conversations and direct more attention towards female sexuality. In my argument, I will claim there are three major actions a generational rebel must take in order to qualify as indeed a rebel. The first is maintaining a society-altering belief that encourages the evolution of less underrepresented or less powerful groups. The second is handling societal criticism, while at the same time fully aligning themselves with the group for which they are advocating. And thirdly, bringing about change with his or her words and actions to alter the mindset of society and or earn rights for the group for which they are advocating. I will argue Whitman met all three criteria points in his poetry encouraging women to openly and freely express their female sexuality. Let's take a look at Walt Whitman's written works to see what I mean. The first work we will be focusing on to prove all three criteria pieces is from the poem A Woman Waits for Me. In this time and even now, it contains some scandalous stuff. In the first line we will look at, Whitman meets the first criteria point by maintaining a society-altering belief. Namely, women should feel independent in their desire from men. They do not need to always relate their actions and wants back to a man in order to encourage the evolution of a less powerful group, namely women. The line is, quote, "A woman waits for me. She contains all, nothing is lacking," end quote. This statement begins the argument of women coming into their own. In the past, women were always related back to a man, be that her father, brother, or husband. However, with this opening line, Whitman states that the woman herself is enough by herself and can enter a partnership, namely sex, with someone else, in this case a man, without looking for someone else to complete her. The second line we will look at aims to take this society-altering belief and fully align with the belief of women freely expressing their sexuality. In relation to the second criteria point, Whitman is handling criticism and fully aligning with the group in the line, quote, "Now I will dismiss myself from impassive women. I will go stay with her who waits for me," end quote. Whitman takes his rebellion a step further in stating that no longer will he respect a woman who traditionally is impassive and waits to be shaped by a man. Instead, he is beginning to advocate for the more independent woman who is proud of her sexuality and makes that pride known. Whitman did receive much criticism from his publishers about the explicitness of many of his works, including the material in A Woman Waits for Me. According to the criticism Sex and Sexuality by James E. Miller, Jr., quote, "Before the book could be distributed by its publisher in Boston, however, it was found to be immoral by the Society for the Suppression of Vice. Because Whitman refused to remove the offensive parts, the book was withdrawn and published in Philadelphia. The Boston censors found offensive, not only the whole of A Woman Waits for Me, ... end quote. Though Whitman received much criticism from his publishers, he refused to remove poems such as A Woman Waits for Me from the entirety of his work. The third and final criteria piece that Whitman fulfills is altering the societal mindset to bring about change. The line that displays this is, quote, Without shame, the woman I like knows and avows hers, end quote. This statement is especially radical, as not only are women open about their sexuality, but they avow it and make their desires known. Though Whitman's works alone didn't alter the mindset around female expression of sexuality, this statement is Whitman's way of saying that women like this exist and more will exist, namely women who, without shame, make their sexual desires known. Statements like these bring more attention to the movement and did in turn bring about much of the change we see today in people being increasingly more open about their sexuality and sexual desires. Though Whitman isn't completely well-versed in female sexuality and empowerment, he reflects a progressive mentality of society looking to women to own their sexuality and be independent of men. Whitman and his writings meet the 3 criteria of a generational rebel. Whitman focuses his writings on bringing about attention and change towards women who want to be open and expressive about their sexual thoughts, desires, and actions. In this way, Whitman in his work as a generational rebel helped move along the movement regarding female sexuality.